Hi, this is Mary from the Daily Sew. Sewing a garment can only happen after you have picked out the fabric in which to sew that garment. And the fabric you pick is going to be critical to the success or failure of that project. So just a little bit of pressure. Especially now that a lot of fabric is purchased online where you can't touch it and feel it to see if it's going to work for you. So if you feel a little bit overwhelmed when choosing fabric, I want to help. This video is going to be a fairly comprehensive overview of all the things you need to consider when choosing fabric for your sewing project. So if you're ready, let's go. If you're just getting started with sewing, what fabric should you begin with? Typically, I would recommend a plain weave cotton because it's stable. It won't shift around on you when you cut or sew it, and it uses the default straight stitch and the default stitch length setting on your machine. Basically, it's going to allow you to concentrate on learning to sew without dealing with finicky fabric at the same time. But if you're sewing a particular pattern, start with what fabric the pattern recommends, and a pattern is going to suggest some fabrics that you can use with the characteristics needed for your finished project to look like the picture on the pattern. Characteristics of fabric means how the fabric behaves, not how it looks. But how do you know what type of fabric behaves a certain way? Well, you have to know your fabrics. So let's start with a real simple fabric overview. Fabric is made from fibers turned into threads, and those fibers can be natural or man-made. Natural fibers include things like cotton, silk, hemp, ramie, wool, which is sheep hair, linen, and specialty hairs like alpaca, camel, and rabbit, also known as Angora. Then under your man-made fibers you have things like polyester, nylon, acetate, acrylic, metallics, vinyl, viscose, also known as rayon, and these are made from the cellulose fibers of trees, but they are man-made, and bamboo is also a type of rayon. Also, there are your faux leathers and spandex. By the way, we're not talking about skins here, and skins are things like leather, suede, shearling, and fur. We're talking about fibers, not skins. So those fibers are then made into cloth. That's the structure. Fibers are mostly woven or knitted to make fabric, but there is, of course, also things like felting the fibers and knotting or tatting the fibers to make like lace. But how they are woven or knitted is going to change everything, and this allows all the options we're faced with when buying fabric. And this is called the surface. Surfaces can be transparent, and transparent fabrics can be crisp or soft. Surfaces can be the texture, napped or piled, and this is going to refer to how the texture of the fabric lays. So think of things like corduroy, velvet, terry cloth, fake fur, and many woolens and coatings. Surface is also the design. Is it plaid, check, stripe, brocade, jacquard? And this also includes printed designs when the ink is put onto the fabric to make a design. Surfaces can be double cloth. This is cloth that is woven in a way that it has two right sides. It's two layers of cloth woven together. Things like double gauze and thicker fabrics like double cloth wool. Then there's felted fabrics, and I'm not talking about felt. This is when a fabric is first woven or knitted and then felted. Boiled wool, Milton cloth. Those are felted fabrics. And then you have your fancy fabrics, which a lot of times have a lot more detail added to them. Think of things like lace and sequins and embroidered fabrics. But fiber, structure, and surface are not the only important characteristics. There's one glaring omission from my chart, and that is weight of fabric. And to me, this is the most important characteristic because the fabric weight, it affects the drape of the fabric, and it can dictate what type of garment this fabric is suitable for, because certain types of garments are made from certain weights of fabric, no matter its fiber, its structure, or its surface. And this is how a pattern can suggest 7 different types of fabric, and yet they all work for that design. So this pattern, for example, lists cotton and cotton blends, gingham, laundered cottons, broadcloth, chambray, piqué, seersucker, eyelet, linen, and linen blends. So you may not know all of these fabrics or other fabrics mentioned on other patterns, but knowing a few of the common fabrics and their characteristics allows you to take an educated guess about what sort of fabric a pattern or a design requires to make it look as intended. So, if I want to make this shirt in linen as it suggests, what kind of linen should I get? Because linen can be a sheer tissue weight and a canvas weight and every weight in between. Well, if I know what chambray is, that's on the pattern, and I know what eyelet is, that's also listed on the pattern, and I know how light or heavy they are, how soft or crisp they are, and that they're woven, then I can safely choose a linen in a similar weight and feel to work for this design. Now, that said, I want to point out there are no hard and fast rules as to what fabric has to be used to make a particular type of garment. You are the designer. You can always try whatever fabric you want. Just keep in mind that you are experimenting and trying something different and will therefore get a different result than the photo on that pattern. But you never know what you'll discover. So let's go over a few of the more common fabrics because it's going to help you choose the right fabric for your project. I'm going to group and present the fabrics by weight class. Think of weight class labels as the first sorting buckets because many fabrics, for instance corduroy, come in a wide range of weights, and they're all called corduroy. So when looking for a fabric, I usually start with the weight I need, say for a shirt, and then I choose by structure, so is it woven or knitted, and then surface, so color, texture, print, because those are the things that catch my eye, and then I weed out by fiber, is it cotton, rayon, wool, etc. So weight classification is especially helpful if you don't have a pattern but you found some must-have fabric. You're going to know by the fabric's weight what you could make with it, pants, shirt, jacket, etc. And that gives you an idea of how much fabric you're going to want to buy. Ultralight fabrics. So these fabrics are good for garments that don't get a lot of wear and tear. Items like blouses, evening wear, lingerie, and scarves. The fabric tends to be delicate and it might be sheer. They can be soft or crisp, but they usually are soft. So habo tie silk, this is a very thin, fluid, plain weave silk. Organza. Organza can come in silk or polyester. It's sheer, but it's very crisp and it holds its shape. Voile is a thin cotton. It's soft and it can be very flowy. It can appear semi-transparent as well. And tulle. This one is a netting, but tulle can also be knitted. Lightweight fabrics. These fabrics are good for tops, skirts, and some dresses, but will not endure years of heavy wear, especially if it is a garment you sit in. And they can be slightly sheer. You might need a lining, you might not. So woven lightweight fabrics include things like handkerchief linen. This is a lightweight and almost sheer linen. Cotton lawn. This is a lightweight cotton that's very soft but still holds some shape. Viscose or rayon challis. This is a really popular fabric. It's very drapey and fluid and it does not hold its shape at all. It also shrinks, so you're going to have to buy a little bit more, and it can be slightly difficult to work with. Crepe back satin. This is going to be shiny on one side, that's the satin part, and then the crepe is on the duller side. It's made with a yarn that is twisted so much that it's turning in on itself and then it is woven. It's very fluid like the challis, but with a little more weight to it. Gauze. These are both gauze. The rust is a crinkle gauze, and that makes it a little less transparent. And the black gauze is the more lightweight, single, not double gauze. And these are great for summer garments. Shirting. Cotton shirting is what men's shirts are typically made from. It's lightweight but not sheer, and its crispness makes beautiful color points. Chambray. You typically see these in the blues, but it comes in a lot of colors. Again, it's lightweight, yet crisp enough for shirts and dresses and shorts. Eyelet. Eyelet has the embroidery around the eyelets in the fabric. Those are the holes, the eyelets. It's typically tone on tone, but you will see contrasting threads on the white ground too, or black on black. It tends to be semi-sheer. Viscose rayon jersey is a lightweight knit fabric. It's knitted with fine viscose rayon yarns, and it stretches as the knit does, but it also drapes like a rayon. It's very fluidy, and it makes lovely tops. Mid-weight fabrics. These fabrics are good for shirts, dresses, skirts, warm weather pants, and warm weather jackets or overshirts. They tend to be pretty durable, easy to sew with, and very versatile. Woven mid-weight fabrics include mid-weight linen. Mid-weight linen is thicker than tissue weight and lightweight linen. It's almost flowy. It does shift a little bit when you sew with it. It wrinkles a lot, but it's breathable and it softens so nicely over time. Mid-weight cotton twill. The twill refers to the weave. It forms little diagonal ridges in it. It's good for warm weather pants, shorts, skirts, and it's pretty durable. Cotton piqué. Piqué is also the type of weave. It's a small scale textured weave. There's also piqué knits like the old school polo shirts. Flannel. Flannel is a brushed cotton. It's very soft, but it still has a lot of structure, and it comes in different surface designs as well. Pin cord or baby cord corduroy. Pin cord is a corduroy with tiny little cords, the width of a pin, hence the name. It's very soft and it drapes more than the wider cords. Sateen. Cotton sateen is a durable weave with a sheen to one side. It's great for things like waistcoats. Cotton jersey is a mid-weight knit, not woven. Cotton jersey stretches, but it also retains its shape. It's not as fluid as the rayon jersey, and therefore it's a little easier to work with. So heavyweight / bottom weight fabrics. These fabrics tend to be long wearing and insulating. They are good for sweaters, coats, overshirts, pants, shorts, and tailored skirts. As the name implies, anything on the bottom, but not just the bottom. So woven heavyweight fabrics include canvas. Canvas can come in this weight and even heavier. It's a plain weave and it's good for things like tote bags. Denim and other cotton twills. Denim, whether it's stretch or not, is a great fabric for bottoms and other cotton twills. Also, remember twill, that's a woven that with that slight diagonal ridge to them. Some denims come in a twill weave, some denims come in a plain weave, but they're all kind of the same here. Corduroy and wide well corduroy. Regular wale cord and wide wale cord are soft yet durable. Remember though, they have a nap or pile to them, so you may have to buy extra fabric for the pattern to fit correctly. Worsted wool, also known as wool suiting. Okay, worsted wools are lovely, long-lasting, durable, soft, and expensive. Woolens. Woolens are your fuzzier wools. Tweeds are woolen. Brocade. Brocades are fancy in design. Some are very heavy. This design is more flat, but some are very textured and three-dimensional. They make beautiful skirts and opera jackets. And knitted heavyweight fabrics include ponte. This is a nice bottom weight knit. It's used for pants. It has a lot of stability and it's not that flowy. Sweater knits. These come in all weight classes, but they tend to be warm, thick, and insulating. And fleece, as in polar fleece. You know this one, I'm sure. Ultra heavyweight fabrics. These fabrics tend to be thick, stiff, and hard wearing. Fabrics in this category are good for coats, workwear, winter wear, bags, and upholstery. Woven ultra heavyweight fabrics include heavy-duty twills and denim. These are your really stiff, heavy denims and twills. Heavy canvas. Again, it's that plain weave, cotton canvas, but just at a heavier, a thicker yarn. Coating. These are usually wool, but there are also wool blends, or just plain old acrylic, and upholstery fabric. I have sewn too many garments with fabric that wasn't quite right. Too stiff, too sheer, the fabric was too low quality, too poor quality, it didn't hold up, or the fabric was too difficult for my patients at that particular time that I was sewing. There are creative impulses and ideas that spark, and you do have to follow them, and things may or may not work out. The only thing we can take from things that don't work out is we hope we learn from them. Picking the right fabric can be a big hurdle, but even knowing the characteristics of just a handful of fabrics is going to be a big help. There are also some general considerations that you should keep in mind when choosing fabric, such as: what is the fiber content? Is it breathable? Is it good quality? Price is not always representative of quality. Will it hold up to the purpose of the garment and the washing? Is the fabric suitable for the design? Is it flowy, tailored, or stretchy? Do the style lines of the design allow you to match up plaid, stripes, or large prints? Or is this style best suited for solid fabric? If it's a stretch fabric, does it contain enough stretch for the design? What is the cost, and what will it cost to upkeep the garment? In other words, does it need to be dry cleaned? Consider your sewing skills and the time you have for sewing. Are you up for the challenge of a difficult fabric? Do you have the time right now for the extra steps finicky fabric will require? Being able to touch the fabric before you buy it is ideal. So a lot of online stores, should you happen to be buying your fabric online, do offer swatches. Sometimes you can just plain out order a swatch. Sometimes you can email and request the swatch. It's definitely worth the hassle, especially if the fabric is expensive. Do take advantage of that. Well, hopefully this video has eased any fear about buying fabric. If you would like to learn more about fabric, there are a lot of great resources out there, including this book that I recommended in a previous video. I'll put a link to it and other resources in the description. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below and I'll be sure to reply. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.